Now, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for tuning in to my YouTube channel. And of course, Happy New Year in advance. As we wait for President William Ruto's end-year address at Statehouses Nakuru tonight, or rather President William Ruto's big announcement before 2024, I just want us to say something about William Ruto's leadership in this year, 2023. You know, I'm following this particular event live from State House. So immediately William Ruto begins to address the nation, then we'll be able to listen to him, what he has to say about this year. According to TIFA recent opinion polls, made it very clear that William Ruto scored a mean grade of D. Rigathi Gachagua scored an E, while Musalia Mudavadi scored a D-. Do you agree with TIFA opinion polls? And remember that before you answer that particular question, I think the event has already started. So let me just reduce the volume. I was saying this, that before you answer that question on the TIFA opinion polls rating President William Ruto's 2023, I want you to realize that, or rather I want you to remember that TIFA opinion polls always supports Raila Odinga. When you look at the way TIFA released the opinion polls before the previous 2022 general elections, it maintained that Raila Odinga was ahead, far much ahead of William Ruto. But the final results after the elections, it was actually the opposite. So what I can say about TIFA opinion polls, first of all, even before we go straight into the main agenda of this video, is that I don't believe in opinion polls. I don't believe in opinion polls. When you talk about William Ruto's leadership, and I've always said here on this channel severally over and over again that William Ruto's style of leadership compared to Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta ni kama usiku na mchana. It will never ever be the same. And despite the fact that, you know, William Ruto is a human being, he's never perfect. But we must congratulate him on a few things that he has managed to achieve the whole of this year. First of all, I want to congratulate William Ruto personally, because this country of Kenya is not bankrupt. You saw what happened in the country of Ethiopia recently. They are not able to pay their loans, but William Ruto always pays the loans on time. And we must, balancing this economy is just a big challenge. I must congratulate William Ruto's team, the economic team, led by, David D and the rest. They have done quite a very good job, and they must be recognized. Also, I want to congratulate William Ruto because the opposition is not in the government. You remember what happened during the handshake regime, Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, how this country was being led. You saw the disadvantage of the handshake regime, despite the fact that when you ask any Azimio supporter or the Azimio leaders, they will tell you that the handshake government was the best. But according to me, it was the worst government that we have never ever seen before in the history of the Republic of Kenya. So before we continue, let me just... So William Ruto has not yet addressed the nation. It is just music going on. I'll let you know, don't worry. We are just live here. So let us proceed. The second thing that I must congratulate President William Ruto about is disbursement of county government funds on time. Is it in time or on time? But for the first time in history of the Republic of Kenya, it has never happened before. The disbursement of county funds was done very well by President William Samoei Ruto. Raila Odinga's biggest achievement this year, or the opposition's biggest achievement this year, is violence, demonstrations, street protests. What again? Public barazas and bitter fallout within Azimio. We still remember the maandamano Mondays and what? Was it Friday? Which led, actually this country was not being well because of that maandamano. The country ilikuwa inazama. The country was sinking. Because William Ruto is a leader, he had to step in. He had to swallow his pride. And of course he said this, okay? Let my brother Raila Odinga come, we have a dialogue. Because William Ruto, when he was sworn in, he took an oath, to be a leader. And of course, the country must be at peace. Because William Ruto, as the president, he is a symbol of national unity. That is why he took an oath as the president. So he called Raila Odinga. They had the dialogue meeting. The first dialogue failed because, as usual, the reason as to why Raila Odinga was calling for this dialogue, according to him, it was because of political reasons. Raila Odinga cannot accept any dialogue without any political reasons. So I think he wanted nusu mkate. So the reason as to why the first dialogue failed, it was because it was not serving Raila Odinga's main political interest. That is why it failed completely. The second dialogue committee, actually, Raila Odinga or Azimio One Kenya Alliance chose its representative, led by the Wiper Party leader, Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, while on the Kenya Kwanza Alliance side, it was led by the majority leader in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah. And recently they released that final National Dialogue Committee report. William Ruto accepted the final Dialogue Committee report. Raila Odinga also said that despite the fact that the National Dialogue Committee report was incomplete, but it was basically a good start. That is what Raila Odinga said. But the shocking thing here is that the final National Dialogue Committee report created a lot of divisions within Azimio One Kenya Alliance leadership. Because, of course, these leaders, beginning from Uhuru, Raila, Martha Karua, Eugene Wamalwa, Kalonzo Musyoka, and the rest, had different opinions, had different interests. So, unfortunately, Uhuru Kenyatta, Eugene Wamalwa, and Martha Karua were completely not satisfied with the final report. And that is why they did not append their signatures in that final report. Let me see. Let me just open a little bit. You can listen to the choir. It has not yet started. So as we wait, let us proceed with what we are talking about here. So what can you congratulate William Ruto? What is his failures? We cannot speak about William Ruto's leadership in 2023 without talking about his achievement in the Hustler Fund. So let me just check something here. So Hustler Fund, I'm sure 100% that very many people understand about it, because even me, I've taken a loan. In fact, according to the reports in the newspaper, it says that Hustler Fund rated William Ruto's greatest achievement this year because of the way it was being disbursed. Majority of Kenyans opted in the Hustler Fund. During the Hustler Fund event, President William Ruto emphasized the fund's achievements in availing affordable credit of 36.6 billion to 21.7 million Kenyans. You see, according to the survey, it was William Ruto's greatest achievement this year. The housing levy in Kenya. Now, this was what created a lot of problems, because the Finance Act 2023 insisted that Kenyans must pay, employed Kenyans must pay, it was initially 3% house levy, but after William Ruto listened to Kenyans, the way they raised their issues, he had to reduce to 1.5%. Now, the Finance Act 2023 was the main agenda as to why Raila Odinga called out for the demonstrations across the country. And he said that the Finance Act must be repealed because of huge taxes. The most shocking thing here is that Raila Odinga is still insisting that the Finance Act must be repealed in the year 2024. Otherwise, he will call for the demonstrations. And I actually did an analysis about that issue, so you can go check out in my videos here. Remember that if you are tuning in right now, we are talking about William Ruto's achievements this year as we wait for William Ruto's big announcement in State House. And I'm following this event live from State House. So immediately, William Ruto will address the nation. I will let you know. So you can listen to the choir, it's still proceeding. So let us proceed here. I was talking about Hustler Fund. I've talked about the housing project. One of the greatest achievements of William Ruto this year. Disbursement of the county funds. Also, the payment of loans. How much does Kenya or China? As at 31st May 2023, Kenya's debt with China is $6.3 billion. But William Ruto has managed to pay Let me read for you this news here. Kenya spends a record of $471 million on China debt in the first quarter. Isn't that, what can you say about that? Can you say that William Ruto scored a D after what you are seeing here? Of course not. William Ruto is doing a lot to ensure that. Actually, at State House, there is New Year's Eve dinner. That is what is going on. So that is the choir. Let us proceed. Cabinet reshuffle. That is another William Ruto's one of the greatest achievements this year. Now, in the cabinet reshuffle, William Ruto reshuffled 8 members of his cabinet, and he actually folded the Foreign Affairs docket to the Prime Cabinet Secretary office. Of course, the Prime Cabinet Secretary's office is headed by Musalia Mudavadi. Moses Kuria was given another docket. Also, this guy from Kambani. So Musalia Mudavadi was given the docket of Prime Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Affairs. Alfred Mutua, the one I was talking about, is now currently the tourism and wildlife docket. Moses Kuria, public service performance and delivery management. Rebecca Miano, investment, trade and industry, and the rest. So let me just not talk about all of these people here. When you talk about William Ruto's leadership, we also talk about Rigathi Gachagua. Said, the truthful man. One thing that I really love about Rigathi Gachagua is that he never lies. Rigathi Gachagua is one of the best leaders I've ever seen here in Kenya. He just tells you the truth the way it is. And actually, Rigathi Gachagua ndio fimbo ya Azimio. Azimio cannot joke with the government when Rigathi Gachagua is around. And I remember very well Rigathi Gachagua made it very clear that William Ruto should continue with his agenda of development in the country. On the issue of Raila Odinga or the Azimio, Rigathi Gachagua will actually handle it. And we must say, Rigathi Gachagua handled Azimio with a lot of passion. No regrets to make. Rigathi Gachagua huwa ananyorosha Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta, both of them, without any fear. But I really hope that 2024 it will actually be a good year. There will be no political tension. There will be no political instability in the country. It will be all about leadership. But of course, politics must run. Politics must be there, no matter what. Politics never stops. Politics never ends. So we expect a new formation. In fact, I was listening to one of the guys I usually watch a lot on YouTube, saying that political formations will begin officially in the year 2024. So the leaders with the same or like-minded will actually regroup ahead of the 2027 general election. Remember that the preparations for the 2027 general elections have already started. Will Azimio still exist ahead of the 2027 general elections? As for me, I don't think so. I know that Azimio will collapse. It will be dead before 2027. You know, when I say these things, people think that I'm being biased. Of course not. I always say the truth in this channel, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're listening to me and you haven't subscribed, I'm requesting you to please, you can take a second and subscribe to this channel. You are listening live from State House as we wait for President William Ruto's biggest announcement before 2024. So we are talking about, if you are tuning in, we are talking about William Ruto's achievements for this year, 2023, I'm sorry guys. And I was asking you, what can you say about William Ruto's presidency in the year 2024? Is it good? Is it bad? Has he achieved what he had promised? Has he failed? And as we go ahead, what can you say about William Ruto's presidency, leadership? According to Azimio, they are not satisfied with the way William Ruto is running this country. Jeremiah Kioni was planning to impeach William Ruto. You know, there are some things that usually happens in politics that you fail to understand. What is wrong? What's wrong with you, guy? You know, when you listen to someone like Jeremiah Kioni talking about impeachment, yeah, you know, and Azimio supporters and leaders are very much happy listening to such kind of issues. Lies, you know, lies, living in denial. That is what Azimio always want to listen, to hear. They always want you to tell them that Raila Odinga will be the next president. Yet the fact is very clear. Raila Odinga will never ever lead this country. That is the fact that I always talk about in this channel, but people don't believe me. People say that I'm being biased. Following us live at State House New Year's Eve dinner. If you are joining us tonight, please subscribe to this channel. You can listen to the choir there. Still live. Tawala na kibali, msaidizi wako ndani yako, ndani yako. Of course, if you are joining us live, as we wait for William Ruto's big announcement tonight, ushindi tawala, msaidizi wako. Nothing much there, just the choir. Of course, you cannot listen to the choir. You want something something that Kenyans are eagerly waiting for the president to address the nation. As we wait for him, now let us proceed. Do you think it's easy for William Ruto to manage the former head of state Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga at the same time and the economy of the Republic of Kenya? Do you think it's easy? How did William Ruto manage to defeat these two great giants in the previous 2022 general elections? The son of a nobody who came all the way from Sugoi. Someone who went to school without shoes until when he was in class 8 or class 7. Someone who was a chicken seller who became the president of the Republic of Kenya. Do you think it's a joke? To humiliate Raila Odinga, somebody who has contested for the presidency, for the presidential bid since 1997, 5 good times, and is actually planning to contest again in 2027. Also in 2032, Raila Odinga can still contest. So Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, they had the government machinery. They had the deep state. They had the government. Raila Odinga was being supported by everybody in Kenya. What happened? Raila Odinga was being financed. In fact, Raila Odinga did not use his money to campaign. People were struggling to fund Raila Odinga's campaigns. I remember there was one gentleman who gave Raila Odinga vehicles for campaigns. And he told Raila Odinga, until the campaigns are over, then you return these vehicles. Free of charge. The Mount Kenya region tycoons, billionaires, businessmen were struggling, in fact, they were not struggling, they were contesting, not even contesting, they were competing to fund Raila Odinga. They were saying, no, we must fund Raila Odinga's campaigns because he has our interest at his agenda. Uhuru Kenyatta will deliver Raila Odinga's presidency. What happened? Let us see what's going on here.
Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, Your Excellency the spouse to the Deputy President, Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, the Governor of Nakuru County, Her Excellency Susan Kihika, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Wetangula, all governors present, cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries present, members of parliament, all local and national leaders, religious leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick guide of how the evening is going to roll out. We're going to have a few speeches shortly. I'm going to invite Her Excellency, the Governor for Nakuru County, who will invite His Excellency, the Deputy President.
So if you're joining us tonight, we are live, waiting for William Ruto's big announcement.
After that, we're going to have a session where we shall all rejoice together before receiving a sermon, a short sermonette, as we prepare to cross over from 2023
William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua is already in.
The climax is going to be with fireworks.
You can see them.
Midnight, but you'll be guided on where to stand and how that is all going to roll out. So for now, allow me
Happy New Year.
Her Excellency, the Governor of Nakuru County, Her Excellency Susan Kihika. We can give her a clap to come and welcome us to Nakuru.
Let us listen to what Susan Kihika had to say. Then we listen to Rigathi Gachagua, what he has to say.
Santi, thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya,
so that is Susan Kihika, the Governor for Nakuru County,
Ruto,
speaking.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic, Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua, and Mama Pastor Dorcas,
yes,
and all the distinguished guests here this evening. Good evening. You see, I can almost not tell that it's evening already, because I'm so excited to be hosting all of you here today. So really, without too much ado, mine is to welcome you here to Nakuru today, but also to thank the President for choosing Nakuru for this great New Year's Eve dinner. So we thank you very much as Nakuru County. We also thank you, Your Excellency, the President, for having worked so hard in the last, I think, year and a half since you came in, and since we all came in. You have worked so hard that you have finally stabilized the economy of this country. So we are excited as we get to 2024, because you have placed the country ready for takeoff. And I am sure that great things will be happening in 2024 and beyond. So asanteni sana, thank you for coming to Nakuru. And let me welcome His Excellency, the Deputy President, Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua. Karibu.
Rigathi Gachagua, remember that this event is happening live from Nakuru State House. Don't forget.
Kiongozi wetu Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Daktari William Samoei Ruto, Her Excellency the First Lady Mama Rachel Ruto, Cabinet Secretaries present, Chief of Defense Forces, Speaker of the National Assembly, leadership of the two houses, members of Parliament, members of the County Assembly, and invited guests, good evening. Happy New Year. Your Excellency, let me take this opportunity under this privilege to be the first Kenyan to wish you and your family a Happy New Year. Your Excellency, as we usher the new year, we reflect with a lot of pride the great steps that you have taken in leadership, in anchoring our country economically and putting this country on the right trajectory towards economic revival. 2023 has undoubtedly been a difficult year, but through pragmatic leadership and prudent planning, we are proud as a nation that as we usher in the new year, we are on a great path of economic revival, and this country in a few months will shine once more. Your Excellency, on behalf of those you have given the privilege to serve under you, we want to thank you for your leadership and your guidance, and much more so for putting Kenya on the world map. Kenya today is respected in the entire world, and Kenya has become the destination of choice for people from all over the world. Again, Your Excellency, before I invite you to address the nation, let us also tell the people of Kenya that even as things look difficult, there are many gains that have been made. It is in no doubt that Kenya is a very peaceful and secure country, and I really want to take this opportunity on your behalf to thank our defense forces, our National Police Service, that crime has been brought to almost zero in this country, and this Christmas is a testimony that Kenyans have enjoyed without any problems because the country has been secured. And as we go into 2024, we look to even better times. So Your Excellency, we want to encourage you. We want to urge you to stay focused. We want you to ignore noises. We want you to continue executing the mandate you are given by the people of Kenya. And you know where Kenya has come from, where Kenya is, and where Kenya is going. And we are confident that in the fullness of time, the people of Kenya will be a very happy lot. With those very many remarks, let me request all of you to be upstanding and help me to usher in the President of the Republic of Kenya, Makofi.
Remember that this event is taking place live in Nakuru State House. So this is the President William Ruto addressing the nation. Just listen.
Distinguished leaders who are present here, the great people of Nakuru, good evening. Hamjambo. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. God is good. And all the time, assalamu alaikum. Asanteni sana. Kwanza wacha nichukue nafasi hii nishukuru viongozi wote wa Nakuru wakiongozwa na gavana wetu Susan na wananchi wa Nakuru kwa kutupokea jioni ya leo katika sherehe hii ya muhimu ya kuvuka mwaka kama watu wa Nakuru na watu wa Kenya. Asanteni sana kwa kutukaribisha County na Nakuru Town. And let me, on behalf of the many friends who've come here this evening, thank the great people of Nakuru for welcoming us warmly into Nakuru. And we are now in the final minutes of 2023, an eventful year for individuals, communities, and for us collectively as a nation. We navigated through major difficulties, faced significant challenges, and celebrated numerous triumphs. Our nation is the sum of our lives, experiences, and aspirations. Like most of us, our country has lived through an eventful year and made encouraging progress across many sectors in the midst of daunting setbacks. The impact of global economic dynamics adversely affected us, compounded by the war in Europe, rising interest rates in America, and the unfortunate effects of climate change that occasioned the most severe drought in 40 years. All these factors slowed down our economic performance, resulting in increased commodity prices. Fertilizers and cereals experienced significant price hikes, contributing to the rise in food prices and the overall cost of living. To manage, moderate, and overcome these difficulties, this year became the year of a complete paradigm shift in the handling of our national issues. We, collectively, found the courage to make bold, decisive, far-reaching, and long-term decisions to once and for all put our country on the path to attaining its full socio-economic potential. The choices we've made over the last year were neither easy, populist, nor convenient. They were, however, meaningful, appropriate, and necessary. In the short term, painful, but in the long term, gainful. 2023 is the year we decided to stop wastage and extravagance, instead opting to live within our means. We decided to cut expenditure by up to 400 billion shillings so as to reduce our borrowing. We decided to enhance our tax revenues by Kenya shillings 600 billion to fund our programs and development so as to safeguard our sovereignty and independence. Ladies and gentlemen, we certainly cannot be independent if we are enslaved by monumental debt, as has been the case. We take pride in the strides we've made as a nation. We have triumphed over the threat of economic stagnation and are now in secure space with regard to our sovereign debt obligations. Inflation has reduced to 6.8% and our GDP is growing at a rate of 5.4%, placing Kenya as the 29th fastest growing economy in the world. In 2023, we decided to get rid of consumption subsidies that not only drove our nation into deeper financial distress, but were also unsustainable, opaque, and only benefited middlemen at the expense of those who truly deserve. Instead, we deliberately redirected our focus to support production through incentives in our crops, livestock, and fisheries programs. Today, with the blessing of good weather, thanks to God, these interventions have enabled us to increase our food productivity by 40% at a fraction of the previous cost. Working with farmers, our foremost patriots, we shall double our efforts in 2024 until we reduce our Kenya shillings 500 billion food import bill to zero and rid our country of the shame of hunger. In 2023, we decided that growing our economy, as has been the case in the past, was not enough. Change was an inevitable imperative. As such, we rolled out an economic growth model intentionally designed to be inclusive, deliberately expanding opportunities and creating jobs. Millions of jobs, all types of jobs, construction jobs, technical jobs, digital jobs, as well as entrepreneurial opportunities, both locally and abroad. Our housing program, for example, not only provides decent home ownership for millions, including some slum dwellers who now live in squalor, but it also aims to reverse agricultural land fragmentation and has already created 120,000 jobs, with plans to employ an even greater multiple of people next year. For the first time, my Mama Mboga and Boda Boda friends will now have a chance to own a home in our Kenya shillings 4,000 a month, 3% interest rate tenant purchase scheme. That will be the case for other Kenyans on our 6% affordable housing and 9% market housing program. All these housing programs will be at a single digit interest rates, which is half the current rates. Ladies and gentlemen, our digital superhighway infrastructure with 22,000 computers being supplied is already creating thousands of jobs in our technical and vocational education and training institutions. Even as we roll out our ICT hubs in every ward and every constituency in Kenya. Our international jobs program is well on course, having negotiated many bilateral labor agreements to open up opportunities for employment for Kenyans globally. Our collective efforts have not only rescued us from economic paralysis, but propelled us towards a brighter future. We navigated complex debt situations, accelerated economic progress, and invested significantly in our human capital. Recognizing the pivotal role of education, we increased allocation to the education sector by Kenya shillings 127 billion, which enabled us enhanced capitation for our learners, bringing us closer to the dream of universal education from ECD to the tertiary level. We also employed 56,000 teachers to improve access to quality education throughout Kenya. We have equally made immense progress in promoting financial inclusion and dignity of Kenyans at the lower economic channels. The Hustler Fund and the NSSF new contribution model exemplify our dedication to inclusive growth, financial well-being, and social security for all Kenyans. We have made affordable credit available to millions of Kenyans who for years were alienated and underserved by financial institutions. The Hustler Fund has disbursed over Kenya shillings 42 billion to Kenyans in just 1 year, making it the largest financial inclusion program in Kenya. And most importantly, over 7 million Kenyans are now regular customers, transacting and doing business, freed from the bondage of Shylocks and predatory lenders. Kenyans who would otherwise not make it beyond the watchman at the financial institution now access close to 100 million shillings from the Hustler Fund every single day. We shall continue to improve and expand the range of products offered under this revolutionary intervention. Similarly, our universal health coverage program has set in motion a transformative approach to health delivery, with 100,000 community health promoters actively contributing to the betterment of our nation's health. We are witnessing the tangible impact of our dedication to the well-being of people. In the new year, we continue our health transformation at the secondary and tertiary health levels, emphasizing the need for a fair contribution system for social health insurance, as the previous setup disproportionately burdened and alienated low-income earners from accessing healthcare. For the first time, ladies and gentlemen, every Kenyan, without exception, will have health insurance, and all Kenyans will access treatment, including for notorious chronic conditions like cancer, hypertension, and diabetes, without discrimination. These are only brief highlights of the work done and progress made this year. I acknowledge we do not have a strong history of commitment to positive transformation or a culture of consistent promise-keeping in our political leadership. This may explain why many anticipated that this administration would abandon the commitments we made under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. It is in this context, for example, that I understand the invitation by some for us not to honor our commitment on account that they are either too onerous or simply unattainable. For the record, I want to tell you, we are breaking new ground and charting a new political culture for Kenya. Instead of excuses to abandon our nation's transformation, I invite the skeptics, opponents, and the indifferent to change their perspective and embrace our new paradigm shift to pursue inclusive growth with a sense of urgency, where leaders say what they mean and mean what they say. Yet, as we celebrate all the achievements made so far, a number of our policies, programs, and other strategic interventions aimed at delivering necessary and urgent interventions of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda have been delayed, obstructed, and hampered by various challenges, including persistent litigation. There is nothing wrong with challenging policy and holding government to account. And in fact, the national interest is best safeguarded in an environment defined by the competition of progressive ideas, where a good proposal gives way to a better one. We all have a duty to make sure that the best ideas always prevail in enhancing the well-being of the people and making this nation prosperous and powerful. That is what our democracy exists to achieve. Having said this, you will agree with me that there is something fundamentally wrong with opposition without any viable alternative, whose only purpose is division, conflict, and anarchy. There is something wrong with litigation sponsored by hostage-taking vested interests with the sole aim to delay, derail, and sabotage the delivery of public programs and defeat public interest. Time and time again, Kenyans have clearly and manifestly demonstrated their devotion to pursuing opportunities for progress by voting for progressive policies, as they did in the last election. Kenyans are ready to propel their nation forward to greatness. What has held them back is a leadership invested in the status quo, which excludes the majority to benefit only a few.
Sorry guys, the system here is still lagging, but
politics, comfortable with keeping millions in want and indignity to preserve the illegitimate privileges of a few, and a resultant institutional system in which the disenfranchisement of ordinary people is the yardstick of public policy. This should and must change. A new paradigm, inevitable clash of ideologies at the moment that go beyond a mere conflict over choices. It extends to a disagreement between us as to who between judiciary and everyone else without distinction, who are the legitimate targets and beneficiaries of public policy. We are at the moment of reflection that calls us to revisit the first principles of our civil and political understanding, re-evaluate the terms of our social contract, and place Kenyans, the ones we sometimes call ordinary, at the center of all national discourse. As we do this, we must appreciate one indisputable fact. Freedom is our lifeblood and identity. We are a society defined by opportunity, founded on free enterprise and democracy, where competition and merit are underpinned by compassion, inclusivity, and a strong sense of collective interest. Public policy must therefore respect, uphold, and promote this fundamental character, enhancing our aspirations by ensuring that everyone, and I repeat, everyone must be seen and heard, and that no one, and I repeat again, no one is left behind. For us to remain a viable nation-building project, every Kenyan must be represented at the decision-making table. The public interest is safeguarded by our constitutional dispensation, providing for the implementation of state policy for the benefit of all citizens, not some citizens. This includes the implementation of social and economic rights, a progressive economy creating jobs and wealth, fighting corruption, controlling wastage, supporting public institutions, and protecting freedom and the rule of law. This perspective radically increases the number of possible winners and dramatically diminishes likely losers. Yet, every new way of doing things can threaten the privileges of a dominant minority and alienate the beneficiaries of an unjust system. Whenever this happens, ladies and gentlemen, their associates can attempt to hijack national institutions, turning them into anti-people weapons for a select privileged few and saboteurs of inclusive transformation for the majority. We are, unfortunately, at such a moment in our national history. The question is, how do we proceed from this point? The people of Kenya have made great sacrifices to immensely facilitate us, their leaders, and all public servants, for us to do the very best that we can in making this country work for everyone, and in making sure that our institutions protect and increase opportunities for wealth and employment for all. The people of Kenya have also invested in providing us, their leaders, in all arms of government with generous welfare and other benefits, including medical and housing benefits that they can only dream of, in the expectation that we shall in turn safeguard their opportunities to access either commensurate, if not similar, benefits. We must recognize, ladies and gentlemen, the extraordinary privilege that has been bestowed on us to serve this nation as members of the cabinet, the civil society, the security services, members of parliament, county governments, the judiciary, or in the commissions and independent offices. Accordingly, we are under solemn obligation to dedicate all our time, energy, and abilities to the advancement of the people's aspirations and the improvement of their well-being. In other words, the very best of our professional and moral and intellectual capabilities must be summoned in the service of the nation. And as trustees of the people, we are duty-bound to exercise public authority and deploy public resources to the best of our judgment and discretion with the public interest in our mind. Our understanding of public interest must be aligned with the imperative to enhance the social contract and be connected with the urgent need to increase opportunities and transform the landscape of possibilities. Let us therefore reflect very deeply about the ways in which we act and speak in the name of the Constitution. We must ensure that institutional independence does not mutate into impunity and avoidance of accountability. We must be cautious lest our professed pursuit of constitutionalism and obedience to the law turns into an empty ritual and hollow vanity for the majority of citizens. We must take abundant care that our aim to protecting or advancing the people's rights does not deny them legitimate opportunities or make a mockery of their struggles and their aspirations. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when a public servant enjoying a house mortgage at 3% interest makes a decision to frustrate the housing program, robbing millions of young people employment prospects and denying millions of Kenyans the chance to own a home like them. This is also the case when a public officer who benefits from unlimited medical insurance invokes the law to derail the universal health care delivery, denying millions of vulnerable Kenyans a health cover, just like the one they have. It is also the case when a politician neglects the boundaries of democratic competition, that opposing policy, government policy for that matter, does not permit undermining the nation or sabotaging the national interest or the welfare of the people. In conclusion, the last general elections were a watershed moment for our nation. We finally came of age and set a new record, confirming to all and sundry that Kenya is a robust democracy. We turned over a new leaf, writing a fresh chapter in the Kenyan narrative. The era of ethnicity and ethnic political mobilization was well behind us. The anarchy of election violence was firmly relegated to the past. And more importantly, the people, not the system, had the final say.
My system is down a little bit, guys, just wait there. Just a second. It will resume shortly. Let me just work on it. Yeah, there it is.
This new narrative over and Kenya stands as the third highest recipient of remittances according to World Bank. Accordingly, our country holds the third position as a globally attractive destination for foreign direct investment in 2024. Kenya has also achieved the status of the adventure tourism destination in Africa and ranks 10th globally. With our newly crafted global positioning as the home of humankind and a visa-free regime, we are poised to double.
Just wait a second. It resumes shortly. There we go. Wait a little bit. So let me say this as we wait for the video to resume. That's actually a very brilliant speech from a leader, not a politician.
Our ethnic bigotry. A Kenya free of anarchy and violence, and a nation not founded on negativity, but a new positive narrative that is gaining momentum globally. It is important for us to remind one another of what really is at stake. We have come some encouraging way amid enormous challenges and significant difficulties. Our path will be easier, our journey will be faster, and our progress smoother if we all remember that the people of Kenya have interests that dictate our job descriptions and form the terms of our employment. Let us remember this always, and remember that with the new year comes our opportunity to do much more and much better. And that is why I wish every Kenyan, irrespective of their status, irrespective of their station, irrespective of where they live, a blessed, progressive, and successful 2024. Na nitarudia niseme kwa Wakenya wote, mahali popote mlipo, mwaka wa 2024 ni mwaka wa baraka. Mungu ametupatia taifa, ametupatia nchi yenye baraka nyingi, ametupatia mambo mengi. Kenya leo imepata heshima duniani kote. Kenya leo inatambulika. Ni jukumu letu kujenga taifa letu. Good people, we have a great country. It is our responsibility to make it greater. And we have a moment in history to do just that. I'm asking all of us leaders, all of us Kenyans, to work together to move our country, the country we all love, to the next level. Thank you. I again wish each and every one of you a great year ahead, as I ask the people of Nakuru who lost some family members today, that we ask God to empathize with you as we empathize with you, that God is going to give the grace to the families that lost their loved ones today in Nakuru County, and those that did in Nyeri and a few other areas during this season. We wish them God's grace, and that God will comfort them and give them safe passage, even as we celebrate the new year, we stand with the families who have lost their loved ones. I want to say to all of us, asanteni sana. I know we will be here for a while as we wait for for midnight. Welcome to this celebration, and my very best wishes in 2024. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki.
Of course, thank you so much, Mr. President. On behalf of me, Jason, my family, my also family in my YouTube channel, my fans there, your people, wish you a great year ahead. Happy 2024. That was a brilliant speech from the president itself. If you haven't subscribed before we leave, just make sure that you subscribe to this channel for more political updates. Remember what President William Ruto has said, that with the new year comes with new responsibilities, with new opportunities for us to improve and achieve and also do better. Ladies and gentlemen, I also wish you a happy new year 2024 with God's blessings. May you succeed with your achievements next year. Thank you so much for tuning in to this channel. Bye bye.